Welcome everybody to another episode of ArmTalk. I am your host, Jody Williams, as always, and this is the first part of a doubleheader. But my first guest is a man I had on the show once before. He is a brand new national champion. Welcome, Wayne Withers, to the show. Wayne, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Jody, doing good. How about yourself?
You know, I'm doing pretty good. I just want to say welcome back to the show. And second of all, congratulations. Now you are the 2022 reigning national champion. And correct me if I'm wrong. That's the I wasn't able to attend there and stuff, but I had to sit there. I was looking at some of the photos and I saw didn't you have to go through Cody Merritt to win that whole thing?
I did. It come down. I had to beat Cody twice because he was undefeated. Didn't take no other losses. Yeah, it come down to me and Cody.
Nice. So how'd that feel? Because, we all know Cody's known for his left hand, but that year, 2019, when he went to WAF Worlds and won that world title, I think he took third right hand, I believe, in the Masters, I believe. He took first place Masters and Open class left-handed, and I think he took a third right-handed. So it's not like his right hand is no slump. And the fact that he was able to go ahead and do that is impressive. And then to have you go over there and beat him from the B side is even more impressive.
Oh, sure. Yeah, Cody's no joke. He's really good. There was also some other really good pullers there, but I didn't get the chance to pull them. I was on the A side. So, you had the guy, I can't call his name, but he pulled BJ in the super match last month in Oklahoma that's real good.
Oh, yeah.
Brian Sitton.
Yeah.
There were some good supers there as well. Some good guys. I think there was like 15 in our class. So, yeah.
That's a man-sized class, man. That's a man-sized class. So, what leading up to that, and last time you and I sat there and chit-chatted, in person, it was in Arizona, and you had that match with Don Underwood, and you beat him convincingly 3-0. And, you had the momentum. And I know I was on one of the shows, and you had asked, hey, when is Nationals? I'm thinking about going. And I sat there and sent you the flyer and everything. And then you gave me a thumbs up. I'm thinking, okay, Wayne's about to get serious now. His training's about to ramp up. He's getting ready to go to Nationals on a mission. So tell everybody, from that standpoint going forward, what was your training like?
Oh, well, first of all, everybody had to excuse me because I got these sinuses just all in my head right now, man. I haven't felt good. Been sick with this sinus pressure for the last week, and I had a new guy that I've been training with a little bit that wanted to go to the gym with me this morning, and he texted me last night. He said, I just can't make it, man. I don't feel good. And I texted him back this morning. I said, what's going on? He said, I got a cold, don't feel good. Well, it kind of goes back to what my dad said to one of his logging employees years ago. One day a young guy pulled up to work, and he said, I don't know what's going on, Mr. Tommy. He said, I just don't feel good today. And my dad said, well, you let me know when you find out, because I've been feeling like that for like 5 years. So don't let them slow us guys down, we keep going. And also, I was at the gym this morning for the first time in like 6 weeks because I had been just practicing on the table, and I got a little too hard of a strain and something popped in my neck really loud, and I can't even hardly turn my head right now. So, but it's going to all work out. I mean, it's, put a little Bondo woman tomorrow and I'll be all right.
Oh, there you go, And the thing you got to realize is that, you had the momentum, because didn't you pull Austin Jaggers too in the super match not too long ago?
I pulled Jaggers in January.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I pulled Jaggers back in January, but yeah, I've been doing a little different training. For the last 6 weeks, I haven't been in the gym whatsoever. Just going to practice every weekend somewhere, and letting them guys tug and pull on my arm until I couldn't hardly move it. And it's hard to go to the gym when you're doing that once a week, So you kind of got to pick what you're going to do. If you're going to go to the gym 3 or 4 days a week, or you're going to go to one really good practice,
Right.
It's kind of hard. Well, it's hard for me anyway to do both of them,
Well, I'll tell you what. When you pull Jaggers, won convincingly in April against Don Underwood, and now you walk away with the national title. So my question is, I'm thinking at some point you must be getting some phone calls, right? Going, hey, when are we going to see you on one of these big time events?
I really don't think you'll ever see that, Jody. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of I don't know, the new age YouTube style of arm wrestling or what it is, but that's all fine with me. I mean, the Nationals was my chance to go overseas and pull. Once they offered the $1,000 sponsorship money for the first place winner of the Nationals, I was in that direction to get it. I mean, there was nothing going to stop me. You know, if you're bad, show up and beat me and take it. But I mean, that didn't happen. That wasn't going to happen. I was ready. You know, I was ready to go. So that's my opportunity to get over there. If you put an open tournament on and offer sponsorship money to get the chance to go overseas, that's my ticket. I don't need no help from nobody else. You know, I don't need no phone call, because there's a lot of guys that's going overseas that I've beat, and they're going over and taking a beating and then turning around and going right back over there without me getting a phone call. So the way I look at it, you know, forget about it. You know, if you don't want me over there, that's fine. I can come over there another way. You know,
right?
And I just proud I got the opportunity to go to the Nationals and do that this weekend. You know, and guys like my boy Todd Allen Jackson, that always sticks his neck out for me and gets me the matches I need. You know, I got to show the love to him. You know, Travis Bajan, another guy that's always hit me out. You know, and even Steve Kaplan, you know, from the WL, you know, I got to shout out to him. He's hit me before.
Right.
And I was willing to wait to the World Arm Wrestling League until it got shut down for COVID, you know. And the question is now, when it comes back up, will I get the phone call again with all that's going on with social media and YouTube? Who knows? But I believe if I could talk to Mr. Steve personally, he's that kind of guy that I could get back in there, you know.
Yeah, and you should. So, you know, because, I mean, it's all about momentum. And you got nothing but momentum. You know, you're a smart guy. You kind of go, okay, I'll take this match. And then, you know, once it's all said and done, give me a few more months or whatnot, then I'll be ready to take on another match. Then you rest that up for a couple months and I'll be ready to go to nationals. So I say by maybe August, September, you'll be ready to go again. It's just now we need to have you an opponent. So, you know, before we get to that, here's a question. When you sit back and watch all those guys from North America and they compete at King of the Table, or you watch, you know, everybody from the West, I guess you could say, in those East versus West showdowns, you know, do you sit there and you wonder and kind of go, you know what can I do if I ever got an opportunity to compete in that event? Do you think you can hold your own?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I would just be a different level of training to get ready for something like that, you know. It's kind of like nobody believed in me back when Sean Hancock gave me the opportunity to pull Matt Mass. And, you know, I just changed everything around and pretty much moved in the gym for 2 months, you know. So those kind of opportunities, excuse me, those kind of opportunities, you've got to just get ready. You know, no short way around it. You got to be ready when it happens. You know, I got. I don't know if you know this or not, but you know, I got Big Ten coming up in December.
Oh yeah, I mean, you got Bresnan, but my question is, do you have anything planned before that? Like, are you going to Worlds? Are you going to say, you know what, I got Bresnan around Christmas time, I got to really just kind of focus, you know, more on that? You know what I mean? Is that where we're at now or not?
No. I'm sorry. I go to Worlds in France in late September. I've already got the flight booked. So
okay. Well, then hell, that's what I'm talking about. I didn't know you already had everything all taken care of, but now, well, let's go ahead and change gears. Now that you do have that, you know, my question would be, okay, what training are you going to do now? Because training for a tournament, training is going to be different than training for a super match, which in turn is going to be different than training for the world championships. And I know for a fact you got to put every inch and ounce of your body, blood, sweat, and tears into your training.
Right. And, you know, I'm looking at it better than going to East versus West or King of the Table, mainly because I don't know who's going to be there. That's why they call it open competition, because anybody can sign up to qualifies.
Right.
So guys pulling in the Worlds, in my eyes, is way bigger than going to East versus West event. Because like I say, I go to East versus West, I'm on the table just for a few minutes, you know, pulling one person. So at least I get to pull multiple people, which would be great. And yeah, as far as training goes, training will start next week, hopefully, if I don't have too much trouble going on with my neck. But it should start next week, really hard, probably 3 to 4 days a week, 3 to 4 hours a day. and I'm going to stay away from the table training because I don't want to, I don't want to go to a practice and get too much on my mind and pull a little too hard and tear something. So it's probably going to be 95, 96% just gym training, to get ready for it.
This brings me to my next point we're going to segue into. Now, training. And, after we saw Levon being strong as can be, just take out Devin like it was nothing. And I was talking to a good friend of mine who's in the chat right now, Mr. Daniel York. And we were chatting about a couple hours ago on the phone. And we were talking that some of these, I know for a fact, some of these guys, maybe not the elite, but some of these maybe mid-card guys or lower card guys, they see that and they think, okay, if Levon's going to be, the strongest, if he's going to be the number one guy, I'm going to do what he does. Lift, 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 stay away from the table. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, yeah, I agree 100%. Me going to these practices here lately was just something that I didn't really plan. It's just a guy or two had a practice around the house a time or two, and I was sore all week. Then they had one in Hattiesburg. I went to a couple of times. I went down there really for something else, and being close by, so I went to the practice. So it worked out to where by a few weeks ago, it was really my only option just to heal up and then go back to another practice, and just give it a try. But, I noticed some of my lifts went down. And my reverse wrist curls when I went back to the gym this morning was fine.
Right.
My gut pressure had fell off a little bit. My standing front curls had fell off a little bit. My bicep power had went down tremendously. So the thing, like I said, my bread and butter, my reverse wrist curls are still right there. But the things that I need improvement on really went downhill. So it just goes to show you, 6 weeks out of the gym, even though I was arm wrestling training, I lost power in a lot of other areas, So, yeah, I definitely think that if I got to pick between the two, the gym training is number one, I mean, when I beat Matt Mass, I hadn't been on an arm wrestling table in 3 months, So I definitely think that, if you can train a certain way in the gym, it's better than the table time for me.
Right. And everyone's different. And, to kind of add to that question, do you think now with the more gym time, it gives your tendons time to rest or heal, whatnot? Because you can sit there and work muscle stuff. You get a different kind of workout. It's a different kind of sore when you put in an hour or whatever at the gym hard, as opposed to you put an hour or a little bit on the table. It's a different kind of pain. So do you think okay, if I go in here and just work, reverse wrist curls, work on my back, do some rolls or whatnot, that gives your tendons a chance to okay, I'm gonna recover. You're using me, but not as much. Do you think that might be that might be true?
Oh, definitely. When I was at these practices, I would get closer to the end of practice. I was noticing that, the front of my forearm was starting to gill. You could feel something in there kind of waving the white flag saying, hey, look, we're not used to this, back off,
Right.
In the gym, I know my limits. And when you're on the practice table at a practice, those guys, you're pulling different guys, their arm are going all different kind of directions, different ways, backwards, forwards, up, down, sideways. And it puts strains on you that you're not used to, so it's easier to get hurt for sure,
Right.
I mean, look at Red this weekend, Levon put him in a hurt spot. I don't know what it was, if he tore a bicep or what exactly happened, but all the experience in the world on the arm wrestling table just goes to show you that's probably the most dangerous place to be.
Yeah, and here's the thing. So, and I'm gonna go ahead and I was talking to one of my teammates about this. Preacher, what's up? By the way, Macho Man's in the house. Phil Woody, all the boys in here. Legger's in the house. Man, we got a whole party going on right now. So here's the thing. Daniel York is in there. Yes, of course. Thanks for the moderation. We'll take Todd Hutchins, for example. So he's on this one side. He gets on the table like twice a month. And normally, when he's really serious about it, he'll go give Dave Chafee, a call. Hey, I'm going to come down there. We're going to train together, right? So there you go. Michael Todd he's doing kind of both. He's constantly, in his own gym, at the factory, throwing down weight. On the table, him and Corey West going at it. Then you got the opposite, which is, we'll put John and they focus on their technique. They focus on their craft on the table, right? So the thing is, though, you got 3 different, setups, and my buddy and I were talking, about this, and we're kind of going, you have to pick what works for you. So I'm assuming with you, I'm going to get strong as I can, and then hopefully on the table I'll be fresh as a daisy. Do you think there's any carryover to that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I tell all the new guys. Usually when I go to a tournament now, I can't even watch the tournament because I got all these new guys that's coming up wanting advice, wanting to talk to me and stuff, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah,
it's definitely a lot better than nobody knowing your name and not wanting to talk to you. But anyway, I tell these guys, go to practices, put 30% of your power on the table. Don't get hurt. Learn your technique, learn the strap, and go to the gym and get stronger. I said, because first thing you know, you're gonna go to a practice too, and you're gonna pull a tendon, you're gonna tear a tendon, something bad is gonna happen. Especially when you're just starting out.
right.
Those guys, you never see them again. They get hurt, they go to the emergency room, they go to the doctor, and it's over with. So I tell them just to practice a little technique on the table, learn a top roll, learn a hook, learn the strap, learn where the strap feels good on the edge, and get strong in the gym. But I also noticed going to these practices here lately, when they would put like a strap around me,
Mm-hmm.
A bungee strap around with a couple of hands pulling on me, and I would get in a bad position, they would start to pin me. I'd say, we'll come up with my up pressure a little bit, get a little height, and they was having a lot harder time pinning me that way. So
Right.
You do learn new angles on the table, even as long as I've been doing it. Stay close, don't separate, and sometimes you forget that in a match. But going to these practices, you can put it in your brain a little better, and you can understand it better. I get this height, I can get this height. When he starts to pull with the back pressure and the side pressure this way, if I go straight up with my knuckles, it's definitely good to do both for sure.
I tell you what, there's a comment in this chat, and it's probably, I've been trying to explain it for so long, but this is it. Mr. J Webb Fitness says table time builds tendon and bone strength. Gym builds the muscle around it. So if anything, if you don't remember nothing, remember that comment, because that actually makes some sense. Your thoughts on that, Mr. Wayne Withers?
Oh yeah, he's 100% correct. The things that I do in the gym that really hit me out, I think my tendons have been stretched so much over the years, and bone probably kind of bend before it breaks, knock on wood. Definitely when I started really building my wrist is when I started taking matches. My tendons had all the pressure in the world done to them for 6, 7 years of arm wrestling. And I was a state champ. I could win here, I could win there, but I said, what if I go to Louisiana and this guy shows up, or what if I go to Alabama? Yeah, if that guy shows up, I'm in trouble. And I said, what if I could do to become that guy? And that's when I started really, really hitting it hard in the gym and started focusing on the areas like my rise and my cupping and everything with my reverse wrist curls. And that's when I took it to another level, like I say. So probably what he's saying is, it's a combination of everything. You need tendons, bone, muscle, the muscle around it, and that's what makes a good athlete, good arm wrestler.
Well, I tell you what, when I first got into the sport, 2011, and the team, our group, we'd train twice a week, right? And at that point, no one really lifted. I mean, hell, I was a 198 puller. I'm like 235 now. So, of course, getting older, like to eat more. It happens, metabolism slows down. But we trained twice a week on the table. So none of us really worked out. So our table IQ was good. But then, you go to some of these events where you get those guys who are a lot stronger in your weight class, and you're kind of going, what the hell just happened? So I knew, I'm like, okay, something's got to change. I got to up something. I got to, lift some weights now. And I thought that would actually, the more I lift, the more I would put on weight, because it was like, okay, I want to stay at 198, So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to try to get stronger. And that was the kind of mentality I had as I got older, because I'm a little over halfway more to 50 than I am 40 years old now. So, I had to really change everything. And I still do table time, but now, with the new team I got, it's more, hey, we get together one week. What you do in between the last practice and the next practice is on you, but we all get together for about a couple hours and kind of make sure. And that's how we test ourselves to see, okay, are we really getting stronger? Because we all got our little dry erase boards in our garage or our workout centers. We're writing our numbers up and we're dating everything. We look on the board and go, okay, I lifted this much. I know the next time I do the exercise, I got to have more. So when you work out, do you keep a logbook? Do you have a dry erase board? What does your blueprint look like?
Right. And I agree 100% with you on that. It's hard to, when you're training with the same guys over and over again in a practice, it's hard to tell how your power is. So that's another area where the gym comes in really handy. But what I normally do is just take like a pen and a pad, especially on a real serious day.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do 10 sets for 20 reps on heavy weight on my reverse wrist curl. So every time I do a set, I just mark it off. I got my exercises wrote down in a line, and I put a stick mark beside it every time I do it, so I can keep up with how many sets I do. Because you'd be surprised halfway through the workout how quickly you can forget if you done set 4 or done 5.
Right. I get that.
I'll try to put in like some back pressure exercises, back pressure on dumbbells, back pressure on the machine, and put little checks beside that, and whatever else I got on the card. I mean, sometimes I throw bench press in there just to have something extra to do to keep them moving around. But at the end of the exercise, sometimes you can surprise yourself how far you can go that day. And then the next time you come in there, you might, put it like this, one day you might come in there and think you're not going to be able to do nothing, and you're able to stay for like 3 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Next day you feel good and go in there and you're not able to do nothing. It's weird the way your body works, But yeah, I keep a log of everything I do,
Now, are we hitting PRs every time you go to the gym or what? Because, in like you look at Todd Zilla, man, he has a speed day. He has volume day and the max day. I mean, he puts everything out there on social media. This is what I do. So are you doing all that kind of stuff? Because I'll go to my gym right now. I'm thinking, okay, and I had to read, I'm always revamping something, like after a tournament or after a super match I have to go back and go, okay, what worked? What didn't work? Okay, look at the board. I got to get stronger in that. Okay, every time I put up a number on there, I got to tell myself, okay, I got to get a little bit stronger. If that means 2.5 pounds more or 5 pounds more, I got to make sure I get it done. Do you do something like that?
Oh yeah, I don't really have like speed days and stuff like that. Mine's all full power, heavy loads. I never warm up. I mean, a lot of guys go in there and warm up, but I just go in there and put this straight to the 400 pounds or whatever, and just do my lifts. I try to do a lot of. Well, I might change up some exercises, like my reverse wrist curls are going to usually be 10 to 20 reps.
Right.
But like some of my back pressure exercises might be 2 to 3 reps with real heavy weights.
Right.
But I normally do about the same exercises, just day in, day out.
Well, I'll tell you what, it is working for you, because when you see those kind of matches, like I was there in Arizona in person. I was doing play-by-play with Bob Brown when you were pulling down Underwood. And so we're kind of going, man. And I was looking at you were kind of like you really had to get in there, but your wrist never bent back at any point in time. And so I'm thinking, okay, he must be doing something, because his wrist is not doing nothing. It stayed there. I mean, you might have got a position, but you kept that wrist to where it didn't buckle. And so I think what you're doing as far as the workout's going, it's awesome. So I really applaud you for that.
Well, appreciate it, my man. And that wasn't the same Don Underwood that the previous people had seen. I mean, Don Underwood was jacked that day. I mean, he was strong. Yeah, I was strong. And Don loaded my wagon that first match. I'm talking about, I said, well, holy shit, who I got on the table with? So, I think that Don was a real dangerous opponent because he had took a couple of losses before that. And he was trying to get back to where he used to be, trying to get back to being a world champion. So I was very nervous about the match. And like I say, when he hit me, I didn't completely collapse his hand. And he was holding his own with my wrist, and I said, "Oh, this don't happen. That very rarely happens.
Right.
Usually, if I get beat, I take their hand, but they'll beat me with side pressure or something, or I understand he was trying to get to a hook, and he'd been saying the weeks leading up to that, the podcast shows that I was a one-trick pony. I was just a top roller. And, they was even saying at the National this weekend, they told Cody Merritt he was my first match. And you know where Wayne's going. You know he's going for the top roll. Well, that's true. But you've got to be good enough to turn me into the hook. You've got to be that good, and your hand and wrist got to be strong to do that as well.
Right.
I'm not just going to turn in the hook and say, okay, let's go. You got to get me there.
Yeah.
Back in March, I went to Tennessee because they was giving some money for that tournament, and Paul Walker was there.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
So when it comes time for me and Paul to pull, everybody's like, well, get your cameras ready. This is going to be a good match. And I flashed it. So we get back up for the finals, and he's telling me before the match, go on a hook with me. And I was like, no, if you bad, put me in a hook. So,
hey, if you want to go on a hook, then we can do that on the side table in the after pull or something like that. But when you're trying to win, you want your ace move. I totally get that.
right.
You do have a question. You ready for it, Wayne?
Sure.
All right. And this is from Minnick Arms. He says, can you ask Wayne if he's able to work out the day after one of his practices? And if so, what exercises?
The only thing I could do the day after practice would be reverse wrist curls, just because I'm so dominant with that exercise and just because I'm so used to doing it. That's almost an everyday exercise for me. I got it set up in my house. And besides that, no, I couldn't do nothing as far as bicep, probably back pressure or anything. But reverse wrist curls, yeah, my wrist is solid, but man, after a long practice, everything else is just gassed out.
Oh, yeah, and I hope that answered your question, because I know, for me and my guys we train, I mean, we're back in we practice Saturdays, but and I work Sunday. So usually that day I kind of just relax because I have to work. Now the next day, I'll get up and I'm thinking, all right, now I gotta get back into it. And yeah, you got those little aches and pains because you felt like you actually been to a tournament. Not so much with a bunch of ready goes, but just to the point where I felt like, yeah, somebody was really tugging on me. So, we get after it from time to time. It all depends. If I'm too sore, then I'll just go ahead and work on the bands, right? But if I'm not sore enough, then I'll go ahead and we'll do some weights and stuff. So, I mean, for me, it alternates. Like, it all depends on, like, for example, I haven't been able to use my right hand since my match with John Laverne, which, by the way, is posted, by the way. And, yeah, it was weird because I have no riser on the right. So I've done this before, guys, where I would hold my hands together. My left goes like this. My right goes like that. It's as far as I can do it, Even when the pronation where I can pronate this way with the left and that's as far as I can go with the right. And, watching that match in its entirety from a different angle and a different perspective, John just, it was almost like when people would say, hey, Jody, get your riser up. I'm like, I can't. Because it won't rise. And of course, it didn't help me that John, had a strong hand and wrist. So this is where you got to have a plan B. And my plan B was like, okay, if we get in the strap, it's a little different, because then I don't have to rely on my hand or my riser as much. Now, your question, when you get into the strap, how much hand are you actually using for you?
I just, I just use the strap and pull on the strap. I don't really hold on with my hand whatsoever. And I believe I'm a better puller like that. Tim Breslin has always said in interviews he relies on his bottom two fingers for his top roll.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really hold on to nothing. I just want their thumb. And I believe if you cut my fingers off, I'd still be just as dominant as I am right now. I'm sorry, with my fingers, because I don't really hold on to my opponent.
Right.
I want that escape where I don't want to be tied to him. I want it to where if something goes wrong in my move and he counters it, I want to be able to get away from it.
Right.
If that makes sense.
No, I get that. I tried something for the first time at an actual tournament. Practice is one thing. Somebody told me a while ago, look stupid in practice so you don't look stupid at a tournament, and watching that, pulling John, not the movie, but pulling John Laverne, when I gripped up with him in the strap, I didn't cap my thumb. Normally, I feel like, if I cap my thumb, I got so much, up high pressure, but because I did not have any riser, then I just went ahead and gripped him, but I didn't even cap my thumb. And that's not the norm for me. You know, I was just trying something different to see what happened. It worked out to my advantage. Tim Bresnan does not cap his thumb. I mean, for a super heavyweight, he doesn't have the longest fingers. He has a wide hand, don't get me wrong, but his fingers are not lengthy. So for him to cap kind of defeats the purpose. Not that I'm giving away any secret. He'll tell you himself. And go watch his match, right? So with you, knowing Tim, you know, what's your strategy going into that match?
Get freaking strong.
And I know right now you're probably going, okay, I got Tim in December. When that match was all signed, still delivered, and the ink was dry, were you like, okay, I'm going to go back to that match he had with Matt Mask and just see, you know, if there's any kind of chink in the armor, if there's some kind of something I can attack, not to give away all your secrets, but, you know, what did you pick up from that match, him with Matt Mask?
Well, watching him and Matt pull, it's just apparent that, you know, Matt got a win or two on him, you know, so that's good for me because I've got some wins on Matt.
Right.
But I think the thing that I really paid attention to the most wasn't the match with him and Matt. It was a training video where he talked about his match with Derek. And he said that the reason why he had lost that match, or one of the reasons, I'm not taking nothing away from Derek, but he was talking about his bottom two fingers wasn't that strong. And, you know, he really relies on him with his top roll.
Yeah.
So that really concerns me because if he's able to get a good grip on the bottom of my hand, it really messes with my top roll. Like nobody holding on to me in that area. You know,
right.
Even though I know that he's not going for a hook, I know he's going to top roll. It's just an uncomfortable feeling for me. A lot of times in the setup, I'll just constantly try to move and get just a little quarter-inch gap, something I can work with, you know. Because, you know, any kind of separation is always good. You know?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And, you know, being you're a top roller, being he's a top roller, but it's a different kind of top roll. You're more high where he's more low because, like you said, he wants to focus on those bottom two fingers right here and put that pressure on there and maybe a little bit of the middle finger. So, you know, when he's focusing somewhat on that, he doesn't give a crap about his index and thumb because he's not capped anyway. He's holding on like this. I don't know if y'all can see me on the screen, but he's actually gripping you just like this, right? And he had this gap between his index finger and thumb almost to where he's pushing it just like this, you know, and he's just kind of clamping down like that. And for a guy that can clamp down with those bottom two fingers, that tells you what kind of strength he has. You know what I mean?
Right. And, you know, if it's something that don't feel good for me, my best defense in that situation is when he starts loading, when he starts going sideways with me, is just go with him. And once we get a little separation in the movement, then try to flop my hand over his and take his wrist, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of similar to if a guy was really good at getting a hook in on me.
Right.
And I just go with the motion, and when he starts to turn, I'm turning with him, and all of a sudden I just turn like I get my shirt pockets on fire, and I'm trying to put it out with some water that's in a cup in my hand. So it's real quick flop over, you know, top roll.
Right.
So you got options, you know. It's really just depends on who's going to be the strongest man on the day. It just all comes down to power in my book, you know.
Oh, yeah.
All the technique Devil and Red had didn't make a crap when he went against LeVon, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you know, my little girl's 12 years old. She can throw any kind of move she wants to be on the arm wrestling table, and I can just, you know, beat her easy because I got so much more power. So
right.
At the end of the day, you can do pretty much whatever kind of technique you want, but it's going to come down to the stronger man, I believe. You know?
Well, the thing is, though, is that because I know if you were, and maybe this is not your kind of top roll, I like to fish up top roll a lot. And, you know, the guys in the chat, at least my teammate Preacher will tell you about that. It benefits to have strong bottom fingers. In fact, I will sit there and I will take this gripper that's in my hand right now. As y'all can see that, I will use it upside down because I will go ahead and just focus on this right here. And I would just, well, actually, it's the three fingers, but I'll make a gun gesture. And I would just sit there and just focus that. That way I'm just working this whole back half just like that. Not worrying about the thumb, not worrying about the index. I don't even care about that at that point. I'm just doing that. So that way when I grip up and I go to do a fish hook and I drag like that, and with a little bit of pronation, that's where those fingers come into play. Not that I'm giving any secrets away, because anybody who's pulled me knows I have that in my arsenal. But again, that's one of those things you can do. Grip up, and just, use that low. You can drag. As you drag, you go ahead and pronate out. But as you pronate, hey, you got those bottom fingers that are really clamping on, and you can go ahead and finish that move and stuff. That's just something I like to do. But, with these top rollers, I mean, and I understand Todd likes to make fun of us top roll pullers. He he calls us faculty top rollers, which is fine. I'm okay with that. I guess I'll be whatever. But there's so many different types of top rolls. Posting top roll, pronating top roll, fish hook top roll. There's all kind of top rolls. Which one do you like? That might be a dumb question, but which one do you like?
Well, I used to post really high, and it was always easier to turn me in a hook that way, so I went to kind of a low hand top roll. Now I'm just all over the place. My hand and wrist is so strong, it don't really matter how I set up. Not
right.
myself on the, but I just made it to the point, like I tell a lot of the guys that ask me how to get better at arm wrestling, I say you need to be strong enough on the day of your match. It don't matter what kind of position you get in, what kind of position you put yourself in, your opponent puts you in, or the referee does to screw you. You're strong enough, it ain't gonna matter in any area. So, like I say, when I said I'm going to top roll, basically all I'm doing is just taking your hand and dumping it. And whatever happens after that happens as far as the back pressure, the side pressure goes.
Right. It's just like football, where you kind of go, you know what? Don't let the refs call the game. Don't give the game. Don't let the refs decide the game. So it's almost like in arm wrestling. Don't let the ref decide it. It's a thing my cousin used to always tell me, my younger cousin, in basketball, leave no doubt. That way it don't come down to a questionable call. It don't come down to where the referees got to get together and say, hey, what'd you see? That kind of stuff, just leave no doubt. And that's sometimes, that may be some of the attitude you may have to do it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And, like I say, back when I was posting years ago really high and I was getting taken into a hook,
right.
There's two things that's a lot different now. One thing is my hook is a lot better. Another thing, my wrist is a lot better. So it's not necessarily now if I go back to posting really high, they might not be able to put me in a hook anyway, And if they do, I'm not in near as bad a shape as I used to be in. So, like I say, but my move of choice is just a low hand top roll. I'm going to try to go that just about every time,
So Drew said, I wonder if Levon let Devin have any grip he wanted the first round. Would it only slow him down by only 0.5 of a second longer then? And, I think Levon was so powerful. I don't think it wouldn't matter what Devin did, honestly. He was just that much stronger. I also thought, because I was on the show earlier this week with Ryan Espy on Monday mornings. Check us out, by the way. We talked about that, and the mind games didn't work. Devin's known for the mind games, and, he's willing to do everything possible to get the W, right? That's all he's trying to do. And I think he knew after round one that, okay, you know what? I can't go toe-to-toe with this guy. He ain't going to tell nobody that. He ain't going to show you that. But I can kind of see in his face and maybe his body language that, okay, that's the only time I really saw Devin kind of like beaten mentally, because he realized that, okay, I'm going against a fucking freight train. And I don't know. I don't have any answers for it. You know what I mean? So, everybody out there, yes, if you want to sit there and, lift so you can bench press an apartment, fine, whatever, I guess. But, at some point you still gotta, you still gotta know how to know the game of arm wrestling. You still gotta know it, and I think that does carry over that. What do you think?
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely. So you definitely got to know what's going on for sure, He took on, like you say, he took on a freight train, and all the tricks, all the mind games in the world didn't matter because Devon was just superhuman, That's all it was to it.
Well, who do you think is the guy next to face him? Because the two people I thought would have gave him hell still lost 6-0. Like, damn, what can you say? I mean, is there a guy out there who can actually touch him at this point?
Yeah, if you could get Michael J. Fox to get this time machine and go back and get John Inc. maybe in 2006,
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome because
add about 40 pounds of steroids to it, maybe.
Because John, it goes back to that clip where we thought, what was it, 2012, maybe 2011, even earlier than that, probably 2009, 2010, something like that, when Saplinkov came onto the scene, and everybody's like saying, "Who's going to beat this guy?" And John was like, "Okay, let me go to Nemiroff and beat him." And then he does it. Then they say, "Hey, let's have this rematch. Let's have it at a Vendetta Arm Fighter kind of in Vegas." John beats him there too, and so it was like, okay, now we know. And I'm always wondering, is there some guy? Is it Vitaly Latin? Is he going to be the guy? Is it going to be Kradek in a couple years? I don't know. Is our one shining hope?
We didn't get to see. We never got to see Pushkar.
Yeah.
If they didn't pull. I don't think when they was in the prime. I know Pushkar. Look how easy Pushkar flashed Dave Chafee.
Mm-hmm.
He beat faster than Levon did. So I think that would have been, like I say, I understand the late great Pushkar. He's no longer with us, but I would have loved to see that match. But besides that, I can't think of anybody right now that could compete with him. Not even. I think Devin was easily number 2 in the world. I think he beats Vitaly. I think Devin Lorette was the only hope we had.
Well, now everyone's talking about, hey, let's not worry about who's the next person. It's like Levon, he's sitting on his throne, and Levon's saying, hey, all y'all can, you number 2 through number 10, y'all can have it out. You can fight for it, whatever. When the smoke clears and whoever's on top, come see me. That's basically where he's at, because now you hear rumblings about, hey, Devin should be pulling, Hermes Gasparini now, and after Kradeka's win, where does he go? Where does Corey West fall in that? Hey, here's Dave Chafee coming back. All these names, like, where do we go from here? Is Michael Tossett up there? Now Jerry Cadaret's resurfacing. Where does Chanshaw, Derek Smith, where are these guys at now? There's Gennady still sitting out there. There's so many people out there, and you got to go, okay, it's just like, it's 2 through 10. Y'all box it out, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Hermes Gasparini versus Devin. I think that would be a good match. As far as Levon, everybody they can hang it up for at least a couple of years. I mean, I think this guy's going to have to get real, real comfortable at being number 1 and just kind of slack off and start eating McDonald's all day before somebody beats him. He's way too strong. Well, there's some other good. We still got hope because there's a lot of, like you said, we got Dave Chafee that can go pull this guy. I'd like to see Dave Chafee versus Gasparini.
Yeah.
Why not do Dave Chafee versus Gasparini and do Devin versus the guy that just beat Chafee, the one you called a while ago?
Right.
So, yeah, that would be a couple of good matches to put on the card.
Yeah. Tiffany says, does the injury like Devin sustain, is it hard to recover from? Not necessarily. It's just going to take time. And I think at this point, Devin's trained so hard just for this match. You got to just take a step back and heal your body, because it's not like Devin's 25 years old, though, either. You got to just take a step back and heal. Now, there's some stuff in the chat about, hey, would a prime Cleve Dean give him a run for his money? Would a Levon? Would a prime Richard Lepkes give Levon a run for his money? Because up until just recently, the last couple of years, the whole world was saying, hey, Richard Lepke is probably the strongest person ever in arm wrestling, because even Denis Saplinkov said that. And Richard, for all intents and purposes, if you go watch that match, the Arnold Classic 2010, maybe, I think, you go watch that match when Richard Lepke's pulled Dennis. And I'm telling you right now, and only because Richard, you got to realize he was all gym, never had a team to train with, right? So it was all, he was coming with side pressure. So there was no technical aspect to Richard, which probably might have hurt him, because, I think had he actually know how to arm wrestle, he'd be the guy hands down, in my opinion. I think he would have done that. But because he never had a team, he just spent his whole entire life, in the gym. That's what got him by. He's got a world title from it. So I understand that, But, yeah, it would have been interesting to see. It's just the age gap is different now, So who's going to be the next big guy? Well, you know what? Barring injury, there's Corey West. I'm not saying he's going to be the next guy to do it, but somebody of that girth if he can stay healthy and add some more strength, give him a couple years, he might be able to kind of slow him down. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see.
Oh yeah, it's gonna take a young man to do it. I mean, I'm 41, so unless I stay as healthy as Todd Hutchins, I'm probably not gonna have that many years to go. But yeah, somebody like Corey that's in his early 30s, absolutely. If he keeps it up, I understand he does. I think drag racing on the side that can kind of interfere with arm wrestling, I'm sure, but he's definitely a guy that could take it out down the road.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is though, which I like about this is awesome water cooler talk. You know what I mean? Like, hey, this is good stuff because we all can sit there, we all have our opinions, and they're just opinions. No one's right, no one's wrong. It's just we all like to play the what if game, right? So when we play that, it's like going, okay, well, I would love to see what happens. It's like right now you got two big events coming up, Wayne. You got Worlds in September, and you got Tim Breslin in December. Is that the only thing on your agenda as we speak?
Yeah, I'm thinking about going to Dallas next month for that. I believe it's a UAL run tournament from Bill Collins. I believe they're having out the 16th. I believe that's right.
July 16th in Dallas?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that one. And you just never know. I mean, somebody could call me up out of the blue wanting to come do a super match, on pay-per-view or something. It's just, you never know. But right now, I'm 100% focused on the Worlds and my match with Tim. That's two pretty good sized goals for the rest of the year, And like I say, anybody can get a call from East versus West to go pull one guy, but you got to be a man to go, win an open tournament, win the nationals, and then get the Worlds, right? So you don't know who's going to show up. And you got to beat everybody, especially get the sponsorship money and go. And then when you get over there, you definitely don't know who you're going to pull. So to me, it's more of a mystery, and it's going to be more fun,
Yeah, whether it be, East versus West, King of the Table, Arm Wars, you never know. It's almost like you said, you got to train, just be ready. You can't sit there and just kind of hang out. You do a little bit to nothing. All of a sudden you get a call. Oh, hey, I got a call. I better start training. You already lost at that point. You got to constantly keep training. It's just when you do get a call like that, then you got to ramp everything up. That's all I'm trying to say. And I totally get that. You know what I mean?
You got to be ready, And I was so mindset to beat Matt Mass that time, man. You couldn't tell me nothing. It was daylight to dark all during the day when I was at work. I had weights, and I was just on a different mindset to beat that guy, and it worked out for me. And people to this day, they still talk about that match. Whether it's negative or positive. But that was after I won that match. Walking off the stage, I must have got hugged by like 30 people. It was at that tournament.
Oh yeah,
I was just in shock at all. It was crazy. It was like being a celebrity. Just walking out of the crowd.
I got a question, and it's going to get everybody in this chat talking right now. So, the benefits of playing the size game, because it seems like everyone's trying to play the size game now. Hey, you're pulling so and so, and I give you an example when I pulled Robbie Topi, and he was like 264, 265 pounds. I was not going to try to gain as much weight as I can just for him. Do you think that benefits people, or do you think that's more of a like, okay, do you think it's necessary?
No, I don't think it's necessary to gain a lot of weight. No, not at all. I mean, how much difference was you? Maybe 30, 40 pounds? Was it 30 pounds difference, or was it that much?
Nah, Robbie was about 30 pounds heavier than me.
30 pounds heavier than you. So no, I wouldn't. I don't think it's going to make that much difference at all. Probably make you feel worse, putting it on fast like that,
Right.
I can't seem to go down or come up. For some reason, I think the good Lord wants me around 320 pounds. So no matter what I do, it seems to be the weight that I'm going to stay at.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, though, you're what, 6'6"?
Yeah, a lot of people say I carry it well. They can't believe I'm that weight. But, leading up to Arizona, I had a little free time, and I was walking for 2 months. I walked between 8 to 10 miles a day.
Right.
Walk and jog, just mixture of walking and jogging. Didn't lose a pound.
Wow.
And that's insane. It's just, it also tells me, on the bright side of things, looking at the glass half full, it means I'm healthy, because when something goes wrong and, you get some kind of sickness, first thing you do is lose weight,
Right.
Well, mine's staying right there with me, push come to shove. So, yeah. So I just come to the conclusion that the good Lord wants me in about 320, 325.
No, I got that because, it's different when you're 6'6", 325, as opposed to thought that, when Brazil had to, bulk up for some of those big matches. We saw Devin had to bulk up for Michael Todd. We saw Paul Lynn had to bulk up for John Brzezinski. And, I just wonder, and Devin had to bulk up for Levon. I'm thinking, is it necessary for people to do that in some of these matches? I always wondered that,
No, I don't think so at all. And like I say, I wouldn't even know where to start if it was. You'd be talking to the wrong guy because, like I say, I can't gain it or lose it.
Right. I heard that.
Don't have a clue on how to gain it. Don't have a clue on how to lose it, apparently. But, I see these guys that's, I've ran the vegan diet 2 or 3 different times. I've ran just meat diets, I've tried everything in the book. And a lot of people say, well, you lose power on the vegan diet. When I beat that mass, I hadn't had a piece of meat in like 3 months. It was just broccoli, rice, and peas every day.
I remember you telling me that. Actually, you and I had this conversation out in Arizona on the patio at the hotel. We actually had that same conversation. So, yeah, I do remember you telling me that.
Right. And, I've tried it with a lot of meat in my diet, and honestly, flip a coin on either one you want to do as far as power goes. I can't really tell no difference, Well, like I say, I may just be an unusual guy because, like I say, I can't lose no weight or gain on whatever I do either. So,
right,
I can drink the 4 protein shakes a day, do whatever I want to do. I'm still going to be around 320 pounds. So, I guess it's like I say, I dissed some weight, So, like I say, I wouldn't know if it helps or not because I don't have experience in that area,
Gotcha. Well, my friend, you got 2 huge events coming up. You got Worlds. You got Tim Breslin in December. You're thinking about going to that event next month in Dallas, Texas, July 16th, by the way. So, my friend, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. But I do want to thank you for joining me on the show today out of your busy schedule to make time. I appreciate that.
Oh, yes, sir, man. I'm proud you had me, You're one of my guys, so we help each other out anytime we can, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I tell you what, man, I'm gonna be checking you out. Like I said, we'll talk like we always do from time to time and check in with one another and stuff. And then I'll have you on the show again so we can kind of go, okay, we're getting close to Worlds. Where are we at? So be expect another interview down the road real soon.
Okay, Jody, I'm gonna make a blog of that. I want to write it down and we're gonna see what happens. We're gonna talk about that down the road a little bit. I'm gonna write it down every day I'm in the gym, and we'll see what kind of results.
I love it. All right, my friend, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna go get a bite to eat, man. But we'll keep in touch and we'll talk to you down the road.
Yes, sir, my friend. You have a good night.
All right, we'll talk soon. Take care. Bye. Wayne Withers, 2022 national champion, if you need him. So he has Worlds, IFA Worlds, right outside of Paris, France. December, he has Tim Breslin. Monumental match for him. And I'm telling you, he's won his last 2 super matches. So don't be sleeping on Wayne Withers, So, hey, everybody, this is part 1 because part 2 is going to happen in about a couple hours. I'm going to get a bite to eat, and I'm going to be back here at 6:30 West Coast time, 8:30 Central time, because I'm going to have another national champion that took place this last weekend. Her name is Sarah Collins McKinney. She's going to be here. So y'all take a break, go get a bite to eat. Meet me back here at about 6:30 West Coast time, and we'll do this thing one more time. So as always, I see ya when I see ya. See ya in a couple hours.